Okay, so now we are recording. So thanks everyone again for joining us. We have a very special guest. We'll talk about Whitworth. Here is the website for you guys to get to know the school a little bit better. And I'm going to pass it on to Marie. Here we go. Marie.
Okay. Great.
Here we go. Okay. I believe I'm past.
Got it.
Great. I will mute myself. Thank you.
You're welcome. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
Great.
All right. So thank you for joining. Thank you for joining me. And I'm hoping that in this presentation, most especially, you will learn a lot about financial aid and scholarships and why many students in Brazil can in fact afford to attend a U.S. college or university. And also, I'm hoping you'll learn a little bit about Whitworth, and I will be happy after the webinar as well to answer any emails or questions from you. So to begin with, there are a lot of things to consider when you are planning to apply to a U.S. university, especially in terms of costs. You know, of course, there are some students for whom the cost of university in the U.S. is not a problem. Their families can easily afford it. But for the vast majority of students, both in the U.S. and abroad, they may need a little help in the form of scholarships and or need-based aid. And the reason for that is that, you know, some colleges and universities can cost $70,000 or more these days to attend, and not so many people can afford that. But the fact is also that there are many colleges and universities in the U.S. where you don't need to pay that expensive sticker price. Sticker price is what the stated cost is of tuition fees, room and board, which is not necessarily the same as the actual cost or the net cost after scholarships and other financial aid. Many colleges and universities in the U.S. do offer some aid to international students and some do not, and there are widely differing policies about that. And the most important thing to know is there are only a few colleges and universities that will meet full need or offer full scholarships. So the question is, if U.S. colleges and universities have differing policies, some offer aid, some don't, a lot offer a little, some offer more, how do you go about figuring this all out? It's not really that complicated, but you do have to do homework. You have to do research. For example, if you were going to buy a new car, if your parents said, okay, you need to go, you know, you can go buy a car, here's your budget, and you can't buy anything that's more than that. Well, you would undoubtedly do research, see what cars can you get, let's say, for $15,000. You know, what kind of qualities do you need in a car or want in a car? You would do the research. And likewise, you need to do the research for selecting financially viable colleges and universities for you. So first of all, you have to figure out what you can afford. And by you, that means really what can your family afford to pay? And you need to be able to do the research to compare what the costs are and what kind of aid is offered at different institutions that you might be interested in. You need to look at admission policies, which we'll talk about a little later. and to know, whether you have a realistic chance of actually being admitted to a college or a university. It's great, for example, that Princeton offers to meet full need of students, but among the 30,000 plus students who apply every year, it is really only a very small number that will actually ever be able to get in there. So and if you have like a B average, the chances are pretty small anyway. So you need to be realistic about the type of institution that will not only offer you potentially the amount of aid that you need, but that would actually admit you. And you need to learn a little bit about the different types of awards and aid that are available. So the first step is to have that discussion with your family and see what they believe they can afford, knowing their financial situation. And part of what you need to think about too, and your family needs to think about, is that colleges and universities typically increase their costs from 1 to about 4 or 5% per year to account for rising costs of everything else in the U.S. economy. And it's for 4 years that you're going. So the cost of attendance for year 1 may be rather different than the cost of attendance in year 3 or 4. But once you have a budget from your family, from your parents, in terms of what they can afford, then you develop your list of colleges and universities that interest you. And then begin to apply. Don't do it backwards. Every year, unfortunately, I will get students who apply to Whitworth, submit all documents, submit test scores, which, do cost, and go to a lot of trouble to apply to our universities. And then once everything is in, they will say, by the way, I need a full scholarship. My family has no money. Do you offer a full scholarship? And, I have to tell them, no, we offer really pretty generous financial aid, but students do need some finances of their own. The sad thing is, if they looked at our website, if they took like literally 10, 15 seconds to click on a couple of tabs on our website and read, they would know that information. So don't apply and then ask that question. If you're not sure from the information on a website, contact the admissions officer. Let's talk a little bit about different types of institutions and costs. So public or state universities typically have a lower sticker price. It may seem a lot lower, maybe $20,000 compared to that $60,000 or $70,000 a year. But important things to know are that low sticker price may only be good for students who are residents of that particular state, and students from other states in the U.S. or who are international from abroad may be paying as much as they would for a private university. And the public colleges and universities often, not always, but there are many that offer little or no financial aid. Some state institutions do have some generous aid packages, and some small number will give in-state tuition for international students. But again, you have to do the research to find that out. Private universities typically have that higher sticker price, but are often schools that will offer you financial aid in the form of scholarships and or need-based aid. So sometimes what ends up happening is that the cost of attending a private university with a really high sticker price is actually less than attending a public or state university. So that's where comparing costs is really important. Also, some students choose to start at two-year community colleges because these are typically inexpensive even for international students. So for admissions policies and financial status, there are some things that you need to be aware of. Your ability or your family's ability to pay the cost of a specific college or university, or inability, can affect whether you as a student will be admitted or not, depending on the admissions policies of the particular university. If a college or university lists in their admissions process that they are needs blind, that means they will admit you regardless of your ability to pay. If they say they are need aware or not needs blind, then your ability to pay or how much you can pay may in fact affect whether they will admit you or not, because they will only admit a certain number of high need students, or maybe they're looking for a certain percentage of full pay students. Now, even for schools that say they are needs blind in their admissions policy, that doesn't mean that if they admit you, they're going to give you all the funding that you need or want. So one thing that you can look at is whether the information on the website says that they guarantee they will meet 100% of demonstrated need. Demonstrated need, however, goes according to their school or college or university's formula. And what they think a family can afford to pay is also not always what the family thinks they can afford to pay. So just be aware of that. So there are different types of aid packages for what students can get. For example, at my university at Whitworth, we are needs blind in admission. We don't guarantee to meet full need. Again, we can't meet the needs of students who have no financial resources. But then again, I know for a fact that our financial aid packets are on the generous side. And that's because we offer both scholarships and need-based aid to students who qualify. So our scholarships are incoming main scholarships for U.S. and international freshmen. Are merit-based. Merit-based means they're based on your academic profile and test scores. And additionally, they can also be for talents. For example, we have art and music scholarships for students who are applying for art or music majors. Some schools also offer need-based scholarships. We do as well. Institutional grants, that's a main form of our need-based aid. That is aid coming directly from Whitworth. A grant is basically gift aid. Unlike a loan, it is financial resources or financial funding that you do not need to pay back. So they are not loans. Some students ask if we have loans, and the fact of the matter is almost no U.S. university or college offers loans to international students. Most banks do not offer, U.S. banks do not offer loans to international students without a U.S. co-signer. And the reason for that is not because nobody, likes international students. It's just that if an international student, once they've completed their education, if they go home to their home country, there's no way to ensure that those loans are paid back. However, there are some other opportunities for earning some funding through on-campus work, for example. Colleges typically have some on-campus work. We have over 1,000 part-time student jobs, or around 1,000 at any given point in time. So a lot of our students, and especially a lot of our international students, do work part-time on campus. And we have a pretty good pay rate at Whitworth at $11 an hour, which is the Washington state minimum wage. In some states, the minimum wage is much lower. Some schools offer different wage rates. So how much you can earn from on-campus work can vary greatly, both in terms of the state you're in and what the university or college offers, and how many hours you can work. International students can legally work on their college campus up to 20 hours per week during the academic year. So I'm not going to go into great detail about the CSS profile, but I do want to go over the most important things that you need to know. I'm sure your counselor has or will be going over detailed information about how to fill out the profile form.
Hi, Marie, can I just interrupt you for 1 sec?
Sure.
There are some students saying they're trying to get on the call, but I think you're kind of like, you have to let them in. I think there's is there like a little window kind of popping up?
There was, but there isn't. And like, I see me, let me turn off my webcam. I can't even turn off my webcam.
Should be like a little window saying like someone's knocking or someone's trying to enter.
I can't see it. The actual screen is behind my screen, and I can't seem to get anything to work. So I'm really sorry. I don't know why. So
it's recorded, so they can watch it after.
Maybe,
no problem.
Oh, wait, I see something that says allow Emmanuel to join. Arujo. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So I've just allowed a few students to join. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I was like, where'd everyone go? But I forgot that kind of pops up in your window when you become the presenter.
Yeah. Right.
So sorry about that. I forgot to let you know.
And I'm sorry I didn't notice it, in part because I have two screens. So the Join Me thing is on one screen and my presentation is on another. And for those of you who have just joined, I'm sorry that you've missed a little bit of this presentation, but it is being recorded, and I will send your counselor the PowerPoint so you can look at that information as well. So right now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the CSS profile and the most important things you need to know for the details on how to fill out the application. You know, you've got a wonderful counselor, go talk to her, okay? So the CSS profile, which I myself have filled out several times for one of my daughters, so I'm painfully aware of the challenges of the CSS profile. And so it's from experience that I say it's complex, it's lengthy, you know, you need to take your time to fill it out. You will need your parents' help with this. And you may in fact take days or a week or more to fill it out, depending on how many CSS profile schools you've applied to and what documents are needed by each. So in other words, this is not the type of form where you say, oh, I'll just fill it out the morning that it's due. Chances are you won't be able to complete it, or you'll have an extraordinarily stressful, very long day trying to complete it. A lot of the schools have supplemental questions. The basic form itself has dozens and dozens of questions, but if you're applying to 4 or 5 schools that use the CSS profile and have supplementary questions, you could be filling out 200 questions. So just be aware of that. take your time, and that way, if there are questions you don't totally understand, and there are questions that I haven't understood, and I do admissions and I help out with financial aid, in guiding students, then you have the time to email the financial aid office or your admissions counselor and say, hey, I don't understand this. Can you help me with that? And they can give you the answer that you need. So be sure that before you start the CSS profile or any other financial aid application, not all schools require the CSS profile. Some have their own, or they accept the College Board International Student Financial Aid application. So as with everything else in the U.S. system, there isn't one way to do something. So once you've decided which schools you're applying to, I suggest create an Excel spreadsheet with all the information, deadlines for applications, deadlines for getting your financial aid application in, instructions for filling it out, or links to the specific application you need. Because if you are late in turning in an application, there is a high possibility, a high probability that you will not get any financial aid. Some colleges and universities are very strict about this. So if there is even, if the CSS profile or other financial aid application, if it says it's due on January 20th at 11:59 p.m. and you turn it in a minute later, you may not get any financial aid that year. So just be aware that deadlines in the U.S. for both applications for admission and financial aid applications can be very inflexible, very strict. And again, this isn't a reason to stress about it. It's just a reason to know when deadlines are and begin applications early. I'm sure you get reminders from your counselor as well. Some of the supplemental information that colleges may ask for include income statements from your parents' employers, tax returns from previous years, and other kinds of employment records, records of investments, retirement accounts. And I know that sometimes it can be time-consuming to get this information from the government, or even information from banks. Sometimes they require a letter from us as a college saying, hey, we need this information. So just be aware it's time-consuming. Okay, so in terms of scholarships, just to go back to scholarships, it's also important to know that some scholarships are awarded automatically by the college or university based on your grades and or test scores. That's the case with Whitworth. Our main freshman or first year scholarships are awarded automatically, but some schools require that you fill out an application. And again, this can be a lengthy application, so give yourself time, write down the deadlines for scholarship applications. Let's see. Yes, and read all instructions carefully. So basically, the process for getting into, for increasing your chances of being admitted to an institution that you can afford really comes down to a few key things. And that is, talk to your parents, know how much they can afford to spend, do your homework, do your research to find out what the financial aid policies and requirements are, read instructions carefully, keep a list of deadlines, and don't be afraid to communicate with admissions and financial aid officers. That's why we're there. We're there to help you. And frankly, we would much rather that you emailed us 6 different times with questions about an application, then that you do it wrong or make mistakes that can affect your ability to get financial aid. If you do think you've made a mistake in a form that you've submitted, also it's important to let us know. Periodically, the student will say, hey, or my parents just realized when they went back over the CSS profile that they misunderstood this question and the answer was actually this amount. Well, you can't resubmit the CSS profile or some of these other financial aid applications, but if you can provide the information that was incorrect and then the correct information, we on our side can recalculate things. We can make those corrections for you. So communicate. That is really the important thing. Yeah. So before I go on, now that I've probably terrified you with all these questions about, or all these points about financial aid, do you have any questions for me?
I have a question, just more about.
Hello?
Can you hear me okay?
Now I can, yes.
Oh,
you have
okay. I was wondering are you going to talk specifically about Whitworth scholarships or financial aid for international, or during your Whitworth presentation?
I am. And but before I continue with that, does anyone else have any questions? Okay. I'll assume you don't for now. And again, you can email me at mwhalen@whitworth.edu. I'm always happy to answer questions, even if they aren't Whitworth specific or just questions about financial aid. I don't mind answering that. I'm always happy to help educate you and help you to know how to fill out an application correctly. So,
Marie, sorry, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, but I think, you know what, the students don't actually know yet that we are partnering with Whitworth for part of our direct admissions program. So this is actually a new thing. So, eu vou falar isso até em português, I'm going to say it in Portuguese. A partir desse ano, a gente vai fechar algumas parcerias com universidades internacionais para garantir a admissão. Então, a Whitworth University é uma dessas. Então, a gente vai, se você participar no projeto Eleva Pelo Mundo e completar o projeto, tem que completar terceiro ano, né? Você vai receber um certificado dizendo que você vai com nota X de seu boletim, né, histórico-escolar, com nota Y de TOEFL ou qualquer outra prova de inglês, que você vai conseguir ser admitido, garantido nessas universidades. Então, isso vai deixar vocês mais, né, com calma, que tem universidades que você vai conseguir entrar sem fazer mais nada, tá? Só participando do nosso projeto, ok? So we are going to, announce this list of all these schools that we are closing these partnerships with. So it'll be very clear, if I have this GPA and this English test score and this letter of recommendation, then I can get into Whitworth, okay? So by the end of this year, we're going to announce all these partnerships. So one more reason for you to complete the program with us. Tá bom? Okay, so now you will now listen to Marie's presentation about Whitworth com mais interesse, because this could be, if you meet the requirements, you will gain automatic admissions from Whitworth, okay? So please listen carefully. And if you have any questions, definitely ask. Marie, your microphones are muted, but you can ask questions in the chat if you want, and we can
okay.
And Marie can answer them at the end. Ah, bon? Okay, thank you. I will not interrupt you again. Thanks.
Oh, that's okay. That was an important interruption. And I want to say I'm really excited about this partnership that we are working on, because you know, you are at a good school, and, you know, part of the point of this partnership is it will make the application process much less stressful for you, because you will know immediately if you qualify for admission and that you can gain admission. So I thought, instead of another PowerPoint, I would go to our website, and then you can also learn a little bit about how to navigate or work through our website. So Whitworth has a whole section just for international students. And it's very easy to find information on our website. I'm the counselor for all the international students, so I would be the person who would be helping you if you choose to apply to Whitworth. For applying, there are a couple of different ways you can apply. You can either fill out the Whitworth freshman application or the common application. Some students prefer one, some prefer the other. Typically, students who are planning to apply to a lot of colleges and universities that use the common application will use that. I would like to say, both for you and for your counselor, that our freshman application and the common application both have document upload features. So for transcripts or letters of recommendation, your counselor can upload that information into either application, which makes it much easier. You don't have to mail anything. We also, for test scores, we will also accept as official any test score like the TOEFL or SAT that are uploaded by your school counselor or emailed directly to me by the counselor. Important things to know about Whitworth are, you know, we are a rigorous liberal arts and sciences university, and that means we really want you to learn a lot while you're at Whitworth. We want to challenge you. We want to challenge you to think in new ways. We want to challenge you to be creative, to learn how to problem solve, to learn how to work as part of a team in your classes. Our classes are very experiential. That means we want you to take what you learn and apply it in practical ways. And that includes with group projects, it includes internships. The overwhelming majority of our students, including our international students, do internships, both paid and unpaid, usually paid, while they are at Whitworth. We know that in today's society that students who graduate, they need to have that experience, whether they're going into the job market or going on to graduate school. And for us, over 94% of our recent graduates for the past couple of years have been either fully employed or in graduate school within months of graduation. But as a liberal arts and sciences school, you may be thinking, you know, what can I study at Whitworth? Well, the answer is you can study many different things. For example, we have a long list of majors. A lot of our international students are interested in the sciences, computer science, health science, or businesses. We have offered the Bachelor of Business Administration in marketing, economics, finance, you know, accounting. We even have a CPA program, if you know what that is, to become a certified public accountant. But we have a lot of different majors in all kinds of different areas. And the great thing about being in a liberal arts and sciences university is that we will ask you to take courses in a variety of different subjects, especially in your first and second year, So you can learn a little about a lot of different things. And if you're not sure what you're interested in studying, you'll probably find it in one of your classes. If you have, for example, several different interests, well, a lot of our students will double major. They'll take 2 majors. Sometimes they're related, sometimes they're not. You know, we'll have students take engineering and Spanish, or physics and philosophy. So you can do that, but you can also design your own major. For example, I was on a recruiting trip just this month, and a student came up to me and said, so I'm really interested in business and art and physics. I don't know how to do that, but how can I study all 3 of them? And I said, well, you can. We can design a major for you together with your professors from these different departments. And it's not as difficult as you might think, because a lot of our majors are interdisciplinary anyway. In our economy today, a lot of jobs are changing, and new jobs and technologies are emerging all the time. And one thing that studies and surveys of employers have shown is that they want graduates who are able to think creatively and have experience or knowledge of a lot of different things, so that they can keep up with all the changes in our global workplace. So a liberal arts and sciences school can be a really good choice. And especially because our classes are really small too. We keep classes small because we believe that that is the best way for students to learn, because you get to know your classmates, you get to know your professors. And our professors are great mentors. They want to help you throughout the time that you're at Whitworth and beyond. So those are just a few of the great reasons to consider Whitworth. Now, we talked a lot about financial aid, and I want to talk with you a little bit about financial aid at Whitworth. So, you know, if you look at our costs for international students, which are the same as our costs for US students. We don't distinguish, except we require you to have an additional accident and sickness insurance, just to make sure that you're well covered if you ever are ill or you're injured. But other than that, it's really, you know, the same cost for domestic and international students. So our costs are about, direct costs are about $55,000 per year, which I know sounds like a lot, and it is a lot, but that is not typically what our students are paying. And the reason for that is that we have really great scholarships available. And for students applying for next fall, that includes scholarships ranging between $15,000 and $23,000 per year based on your GPA. Now, this shows only the SAT or ACT as factors, but I want to stress that Whitworth does not require the SAT or ACT. And we will also give scholarship considerations for your grade point average and the TOEFL or IELTS, because we know that international students in different countries and locations may not easily be able to access or study for an SAT or ACT. So, but if you decide to submit multiple tests, like maybe you're taking the SAT, maybe you're taking the TOEFL, then we will look at all tests and award you the highest scholarship for which you qualify. For need-based aid, students need to submit the CSS profile. Fortunately, there are no supplemental questions, so that makes it a little easier in terms of applying, to Whitworth through the CSS profile. But we do require that, and we will ask for tax returns and income statements and bank statements from the students. But the good news is that we do offer need-based aid. Again, not up to the full cost of tuition or attendance, but our aid is typically generous. And our students who entered this fall, the average award packet was $31,640, which is quite generous and really is close to what students are paying in Washington State for some community colleges. So it's a great way to make Whitworth affordable for international students. We have students from over 40 countries, including Brazil, as a matter of fact. And despite the fact that it does get a little chilly in Spokane, Washington, our Brazilian students have really thrived at Whitworth, and they have fit in so well. And that's one reason that I want to do outreach to Brazil, because every Brazilian student we've had has just been a pleasure to have on campus. They've done well academically, socially. They've just fit in so easily. And so I am hoping that some of you might consider applying to Whitworth as well. And our support for international students really goes beyond just financial piece, though that's a very important part. We have worked really hard to make sure that our international students are well supported and really welcome at Whitworth. We have a whole international education center and an intercultural student center. They're all in one building. And so, we provide complete support services for international students. I'm also one of the international student advisors. So if I were to work with you in the application process and you came to Whitworth, I would be helping to guide you through your 4 years of study here. We have lots of events that give international students the opportunity to share their culture with the campus. Additionally, in each of our residence halls, in addition to a resident director and student resident assistants, we have students, leaders who are called cultural diversity advocates. And their job is to help our international students and other students to, really adjust to life on campus and to create programming and activities that will really encourage respect and sharing of culture, and to make our residence halls a really positive environment. A lot of our international students, as I've said, they work on campus, but a lot also have our student leaders on our campus. We have international students throughout our residence halls serving in leadership capacities. We have international students who are elected by their fellow students to our student government. And we have really created an environment where the greater Whitworth community values international students. And our city, our mayor, has been working on his own initiative with all the area colleges and universities to see what he can do to make Whitworth an even more welcoming place for international students. Yeah. So I'm hoping you'll consider Whitworth, and if you have any questions, I'm really hoping that you will email me. I'm happy to respond to you. If you have more information that you want, I'm also happy to just set up a Skype chat with or video chat with you and or your parents. And I'm excited about the new partnership with your school. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
No, can I just ask something? What's more of the popular majors, or do you have any?
Yes.
Or they're pretty customized, which I think is great. But are there some that tend to be a little more popular?
Yes, yes. So computer science has really grown hugely in popularity. And I think part of the reason is because, again, that customizable or experiential piece, like students, they can do a straight up computer science major, or they can do the option with business or with international project management. Because, you know, some of our students, they want to be entrepreneurs, or they're hoping to work for big multinational companies like Google, Microsoft, you know, Boeing, etc. And we have graduates working at all of those places. So they need to know a little bit more than just computer programming. Our business majors are always popular, and additionally, our you know, natural sciences, especially our biology and chemistry and physics majors. For our science majors, we've really had phenomenal success in getting our graduates into top graduate programs. For example, we currently have multiple students pursuing PhDs and master's degrees at Princeton University, especially in engineering and physics. You know, we have graduate students, you know, at Oxford, University of Glasgow, Stanford, Harvard, Yale, you know, Columbia, really at Duke, Notre Dame, University of Texas, really at many of the top colleges and universities. Psychology is gaining in popularity. I don't know if, and you have students who are interested in psychology, possibly, and do you know?
Possibly. I mean, I think in terms of sciences, or you know, I don't. I mean, medical. I mean, psychology is, I guess, a medical doctor degree, so maybe it would be. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
but definitely mental. You know, in
right.
the areas. Yeah. Maybe
yeah. With psychology, though, you can go in several different ways.
Yeah,
you
can
become a psychiatrist, get an MD, or you know, you can do master's programs in like school counseling, clinical psychology. You can do a PhD. There are many different ways to go with psychology, and Whitworth therefore employs what our psychology department calls a scientist practitioner model. So students have to do quite a bit of research. They have to present their research at psychology conferences, which they do at the very least on the regional level, and some go on to the national level. And at the same time, they're also required to do you know, internships and a practicum, so they can get some real world experience. And, you know, because the psychology degree really requires you to go on to graduate work to specialize, everything is designed to make our psychology students attractive to graduate programs. In fact, I spoke with the chair of our psychology department recently, and I said, you know, how are our grads doing in terms of grad programs? And she said, you know, they have their pick of programs because they, you know, have just extensive, excellent resumes and research to, you know, behind them, and that research piece is so important for the graduate work.
Can international students partake in undergraduate research opportunities?
Of course, and they do. Oh, yeah. In fact, quite a few of our science students are engaged in research at any given time, and some are actually research assistants. So they are directly assisting professors in their research. And like, for example, one of our engineering, oh yeah, we also have a full 4-year engineering program. And one of our engineering and physics professors, Dr. Kamesh, as we call him, he was a NASA scientist, and he left NASA to come because he wanted to come teach with us, but he's still doing work for NASA. They are using in their spacecraft some jet propulsion thing that I can't explain because I don't understand, but that he developed, and he's doing contract work for them, but now he does it with his students assisting. And we have, there's a huge national research project that's been going on over the past couple of years on a study of celiac disease and what causes it. And we've had faculty and students in the biology, chemistry, and computer science program departments all working on that, along with other universities, including Harvard. So there is a lot of research that's going on, and the results again are our students are able therefore to get into grad programs. I've got a couple of recent international graduates who are both studying chemistry, one in Oregon, the other at the University of Illinois. So our students, they're not only doing research, they're expected to do research. Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Remember, guys, if you don't want to, because your microphone is off, you can type it in if you want into the chat. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're a little shy.
Yeah, that's okay. And again, they can email me later if they want. I don't see that chat box, but I'm assuming you do.
Yeah, I'm monitoring it. I don't see anything yet, but
oh, can I ask a question that maybe is a little easier for your students to answer? And that is, what majors are interesting them at the moment?
Oh, that's true. Do you guys want to enter in your thoughts? What majors are you thinking about right now? They are all over. A lot of our majors, obviously, people tend to think about the sciences and engineering. Right. Computer science seems to be popular. I mean, obviously, and luckily, you offer most of those. But some health areas, I like even nursing. We have neuroscience. I think you, as technician, even type things, students are starting to look at because maybe they want to pursue a medical area, but they don't necessarily want to be doctors. But there are still huge career opportunities in other areas of healthcare, health services. So we're seeing a broader mix.
And that's a really important point about the health careers. It's actually quite difficult for an international student to be admitted to a U.S. medical school. Many medical schools, especially public or state universities with medical schools, won't accept international medical students. And really for many of the students, there's like a 1 to 3 or 4% chance of getting in to a U.S. medical school. Though I will say, I was very excited last week when one of our seniors who's from India, messaged me to say she had just gotten into a really good medical school. So for U.S. domestic students, our rate of success for getting into medical school for those students who complete every facet of our program, it's been 100% for over 7 years.
Wow.
So it's a really good school. It's a really good program, and the medical schools, they are aware of Whitworth. But again, it's a pretty small percentage that are able to get into a U.S. medical school. And typically, unless you get into one that provides financial aid, and there are not many of them, it can be really prohibitively expensive. However, what I found with a lot of our students is, they think they want to be a doctor because they want to do something medical and they want to work with patients. But over time, I realized that their interests aren't specifically in being a doctor, but they didn't know that. I've had one student who really, she wants to change certain practices in her country to, like in health and hygiene practices, to help prevent disease. And, over time, I said to her, it sounds like what you really want is like a master's in health administration or a master's in global health. And sure enough, she got into a Master of Science in global health, at the University of Glasgow for this year. I have other students who they realize, I want to be a physician's assistant, or I think what I really want to do is be an epidemiologist. So there are many kinds of health careers that are that don't involve an MD, that make a lot of money. And, the graduate programs welcome international students, and they're not as prohibitively expensive, and or they may actually offer some financial aid that students need.
Yeah, those are great recommendations. We definitely try to, definitely ask, are you sure, do you know what it means to be a doctor? They don't actually want the patient care side. And it turns out, it's more research. Right, like you said, policy, right?
Right.
Not being a doctor per se.
Right. Yeah. Or, like one of our students from, former student from Korea, he was really interested in biomedical engineering, and he went on to do then a Master of Science in Neuroscience at Johns Hopkins. And then, decided he wants to be a doctor, and he's applying to medical schools right now. And I have no doubt that he's going to get in. He's a really smart and determined young man. Yeah.
No, those are great options. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. It's 8:30 here on our side, so I really appreciate your time in talking to our students. Like I said, these will be recorded, so we'll put it on our channel, and your information is there. So thank you for being so generous with your time and availability and access to answer students for our questions. Is there any advice for our kids or before we sign off?
I would just say, you will be much less stressed if you take the time to do the research, create an Excel spreadsheet with all the deadlines, dates, and forms you need, because then you can stay on track. The fact of the matter is, if you're stressing about, will I get into this college or that university, if you're most schools are not like the Ivies where they take 5 or 6% of the students. A lot of colleges and universities really have a fairly high acceptance rate. Just find a university that is right for you academically, that has programs you want, that maybe has the size of the school that you want. I find for international students, smaller schools tend to be good options because there tends to be more of a sense of community. I would say look and see what support services there are for international students. You know, it's one thing to bring international students to a college or university, but different schools have different success rates at actually supporting and integrating their students. So that's the most important thing, is to figure out where you might feel comfortable. You know, and again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Don't stress too much. There's the right college and university for every student. You're at a good school, and we'll get into that college or university that's good for you.
Thank you so much. It was very informative. I definitely learned a lot. I'm really glad I learned about all these opportunities at Whitworth. And hopefully we'll be sending some kids to you shortly.
Well, thank you for this opportunity, and I'm always happy to share information about the admission process, and thank you for letting me talk about Whitworth.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Good night.